London Grammar. That's Wasting My Young Years. And that song gets sadder every year. Welcome to the review on Z Reviews of the Thomas & Stereo Galion TS-A75, which is a giant mother effing amp. Like, it's just big and heavy. It's 39 pounds. It's got beautiful heat sinks on the side of it. And we're looking at that because we're going to look at this. I haven't reviewed these yet. I have a whole pile of these topping amplifiers. This is the PA7, not the PA7 Plus. It is currently $450. And this little amplifier is twice as powerful as this. Twice. And I have a hard time believing that. Not just from the scale, but because I've used them both. And so, TS-A75, that means at 8 ohms, which is the nominal impedance for most speakers, this only has 75 watts per channel. And you're all going, well, Zeos, we're in the age of, Lox GA30s, and you can get the topping B200s over there, hundreds. This will do 100 watts at 4 ohms, but that's it, just 100 watts at 4 ohms, and 75 watts at 8 ohms. And you're like, well, Zeos, why bother? And I'm going to here's the thing. How old are you? Do you remember when Alf was on the air? Do you remember TV shows, Alf? Have you ever looked at a phased linear A400 or a Pioneer Spec 2 vintage amplifier and just gone, fuck, I really want one of those? You can't really get those anymore. Well, you can, but they're all used and abused and the caps need to be changed and it's up. And then your alternative is this little tiny thing, which, here's the thing. It will absolutely measure and put out that sort of quality. It's good. These quality amplifiers. This is a $450 amp. If you get the Plus, it's 300 watts per channel at 4 ohms. In 1 year, it's a tiny thing. So this is old school. You're going to buy it, not because you want the smallest and the newest. You want to buy something here, and I've opened the top. Let's try not to get electrocuted and die. You're in this. Hear that chink? It's like, you're in this because you want capacitors and capacitors and capacitors and heat sinks and toroidal transformers, and you want something made in Canada. This is, I'm sitting on a rubber ball. All right, ignore it. This is as old school cool as you can get modern age. Because you could absolutely buy... should I tell you the price? That's $450. This costs 3 times as much. Which, when you think about it, 3 times as much is a lot. Wait, isn't that $1,500? Yeah, this. Essentially the only amplifier you can fucking buy that I think keeps the spirit of the old school power amps. And this is a power amp. There is no volume control on this. Those had gain adjustments. That has gain adjustments and VU meters, which made it fucking awesome. This just has an on-off switch with a blue LED, which I think if we all gather together, we can get them to change the color of the LED from blue, although it is a very, very... Hold on. It is a very polite blue. Like it's just a ring. It's just a ring. All right? It isn't making it a flashlight, but it's still there. The numbers are here. If you could barely see it, they've carved Galion and the picture of the sails from the boat, because the Galion is a big ship. Okay, it looks like this there. Top of the unit. This, by the way, is aluminum. So, this is old school as fuck. And you already know if you want to own it. That's it. This review's over. I don't have to do anything else. This was sent to me. There isn't even an affiliate link. It's just like, well, Zeos, what are you going to say about it? Because you've got to compare it to other things. Well, I wouldn't be comparing it to that. I'd be comparing it to that, which is my Orchard Audio Star Crimson Ultra. Whereas that is 250 watts per channel into 8 ohms and 500 into 4 ohms. And this is 75 and 100. Maybe you should get a chair that doesn't squeak. How do they compare? And the thing is, way fucking closer than you'd imagine. Just way closer than you imagine. I've got them, this is currently hooked up through the DX9 over there. That's my DAC. And it's going into my Mon Platimons, which are like my favorite, just revealing speaker. Go to hell. Korea made the best thing and ever, and you can't beat it. So this, through RI cables to that, being fed from that, and preamp from that. And when we put on music... So I live with those Mons on the Mon. And the Mon is the cleanest amplifiers that exist. It just is. It just fucking is. In fact, spoilers, I may be doing a collab with Orchard because of how good their amplifiers are. I'm like, I gotta get in on that. This, however, is a different sound. Tonally, this is different. Whereas the Orchard audio is no sound signature, and whatever your source is what you get, and it's a fucking miracle nowadays. This is the opposite. Do you see, I want to show you something. Other than the wallpaper, which we've all downloaded in the wallpaper horde, I want to show you what else he sells. Here, by the way, is the PA7 450 in black or silver, and it's got all these, look well, it measures, and, oh, great. Here's this amplifier, $1,495. Plus shipping, I believe. But look what else he makes. He makes this little Class A amplifier, $3,750. It thing is tiny. It's 20 watts a channel at 8 ohms and 35 at 4 ohms. And it's more than 2 times the price of this. And that's not what I'm here to show you. I'm here to show you this and this. You see, Galion makes the TS-120 and the TS-34. Which are a $3,000 and a $4,500 speaker tube amp. And these were the ones that came out first. He is obsessed with tubes and tube sound and warmth and flavors and structures. There's a huge departure for someone who's building this very small. This is super small. This is a direct sell only. He also sells speakers, by the way, which I'm kind of interested in. They're like $1,200. Nice. So yeah, this is the cheapest thing on his website besides the speakers. So he sells gargantuanly powerful monster fucking tube amps for speakers. And then, oh, by the way, I'm just going to throw together this. And when you listen to it, you get that influence. You feel like he wanted this amp to take your source, whatever it is, and just bring it to you in a Class A sounding way while still being Class AB. For those of you who know the difference between Class A and Class AB, you'll know what I'm talking about. Usually, most people on this channel know about from headphones. It's quite difficult to get a Class A amplifier in the modern age that isn't some weird, funky, or multi-thousands of dollars. So having this show up, being Class AB, which is the more efficient style, and then sound like... Fucking Amber Rubarth. When I talk about speakers or headphones or amps or DACs, there's always this one word that I love. If I say this word during a review, it means it's going to get a good review. Smooth. Now, to some people, that's a frightening word because that means, no. It needs to be dead accurate. There can't be smoothing. Stop putting on smoothing. I don't want to have anything in the way of my music. Well, then you get the Orchard audio. Then you get the Mons, even though the Mons are currently being smoothed out with this Class A fucking monster box. By the way, there's 2 toroidal transformers because it is a true mono block for each side. Everything you see up here is down there. Everything you see up here is down there. And those are identical boards. Actually, he took the time to mirror the fucking boards. I just realized that. Because it would be so much easier to make the same board twice. And just put one here and then flip it over there and then maybe you have a different end. No. The entire board is backwards. Just backwards. The only thing he didn't mirror is the capacitors aren't facing up over here. They're facing down. But like that connection is here. That connection is there. That's obsessive compulsive. When I need to clean my car, when I first bought my nice black car and I needed it cleaned, I didn't want to clean it. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And nor did I have the care. Like, I cared, but like, but my friend is obsessive. He's like, you come out, you make sure you've got no zippers on your clothing. Do you have zippers? Don't. All right, you got this many hours. You need to clean it for this many hours, and then you got to make sure it dries. But you can't let it dry in the sun because you get spots. And then you got to get the filter, this double treated water. And like, you know what? I gave him my car. I gave him like $300. I said, go to town. And he, for 12 hours, cleaned my car, obsessively doing the buffer wheel on my door in sections of 4. So he makes sure he got all the paint was the right. That's the kind of person who's building this amplifier. No one else would do that. Unless you're just like, no, it's not going to be even. It's not going to be the same. It's got to be the same on either side. There it is. I wonder if I was the OCD, I would have also made it so that these caps go to that board. Those caps on the bottom go to this board. But then this one goes to that board. And when the bottom goes to the other board. So it's all even. You can't fuck it up. I mean, here's the thing. It's a power amp, which you should all get familiar with. Because when my collab comes out, you're going to have to know what a power amp is, which means it has one function. Off. See how long it takes while I'm playing music. Hold on. On. I would say that's the only button, but there actually is 2 buttons on the rear, which we have to walk around and not kick things, because I am picking this fucking thing up. It's so heavy. I actually don't know if I could lean it. And this is open with 110 volts inside of it, so I really don't want to die. Oh! By the way, lifting it from the sides here is a guaranteed way to just be annoyed by the weight of the unit. So I would not recommend it. But right here you can see there are RCA and XLR toggle switches. Slight little pop. Because you could actually technically have 2 input sources. You just have to walk around the back of your giant amplifier and switch between the 2. If you wanted to. So you do have an RCA input and an XL input on each side, mirrored in, not facing the same way. You get your 5-way binding posts. These are pretty common. I'm using this $30, I think it's $30 power cable from Amazon. I'll link it, even though it's fraying real bad, which means I got to go bring it up to my stove. I actually had to do this for a really expensive set of power cables or cables where this little fraying kept happening. So I turned on my biggest stove burner and I just looped the cable into the flames and then turned it over and looped it back in there and it just seared off all the all the little fuzzies. And I didn't burn my house down. In fact, Pasta may have tweeted about that. So this is a state of mind. You're buying an amplifier like this because you're done with like Emotiva. We got to talk about Emotiva. If I'm talking about amplifiers, we got to talk about Emotiva. Emotiva makes big, heavy, single unit and double unit and triple unit and quadruple unit and quintuple unit and sextuple unit and what's 7? And they actually don't make an 8 channel. But they're all moving to like a Class D amp. They did make Class AB for a long time. They even may have made Class A. But they never had like a sound signature. They were all like, oh, they measure so well. And this has measurements on the website. You can go to the website and look at the measurements. They measures really well. Measures really clean. Just because something measures clean, whereas this measures really clean, and that measures really clean, does not mean they're going to fucking sound the same. This is the same problem people have with headphone measurements or IEM measurements, where they look at the squiggly line, and they look at this other squiggly line, and they put them one over the other and go, that's nearly the same thing. They must sound the same. Fucking no. No. There's a way things deliver sound and power that is inquantifiable with numbers. It just isn't. And when I use the Galion on a set of speakers, I know I'm not getting the absolute most bland, blank, clean signal that is not doing anything. This will sweeten up a speaker just... It's like when you put a dollop of honey in your tea, and you don't really need it there, but oh man, it just adds something. It just adds something. This is old school. This sounds like I put on either the Phase Linear or my father's Spec 2, which I need to get repaired because it only runs for about 20 minutes and then throws a protection light, and I should really come out to Just Audio and fix it. But this is the sort of audiophile nonsense bullshit that you always hear about. Oh, the sound, it converted all my music into this warm event of like analog nonsense, blah, 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 blah. Yes. If you have a current, modern, super clean, efficient Class D amplifier, and you swapped over with a mere, and that's another thing, it's a merely $1,500, where if you just showed this to me and was like, how much? I'd look at it and go, I don't know, like $5,000? I mean, it shouldn't be. Back in the day, all these amplifiers were dirt cheap. But it's because we didn't know what we had. America, the world, didn't know how good Phase Linear or the old Pioneer Spec 2s were, so they charged like normal prices. And now you get one of these or something that sounds like that, that's Class A, that's built. That thing is £1 billion, by the way. You can't. You can't. You have to go to these audio shows and you see $1 billion fucking amplifiers. Even Orchard Audio, at $4,000 for that unit, he's undercharging. He's definitely undercharging. Galion could have come up with this at $3,500 and I wouldn't have batted an eye. He probably kept the price low because it's only 75 watts. Well, let me fucking tell you, we are 20 dB down on that DAC. 20. Which means I can raise the volume 20 decibels louder than this. Which I'm not going to. It's the last play at Shay. We're going to go up. I don't blow my speakers up. I actually... Because these are, I don't think you have a plate that says how many ohms you are. I should know how many ohms you are. Even if they're 2 ohms and this thing is putting out 200 watts. This is plenty of power. Because that's one of the things it says on the website. It's like, even though it's only 75 watts, just, don't think it's going to underperform. When you have that much capacitance behind the signal, and it needs to basically mic drop with a bass line or something, it's got it. We're good to go. Holy fuck. Lower. That was at 12. Do you hear like the pout? This actually sounds, and this is going to be the least audiophile thing that I've ever, oh my God. This sounds more powerful than the way more powerful Orchard Audio. Just in the way it's delivering, like, every note. It's just, it feels like it's pressing it out like a compressor. It's just squeezing out all this fucking music. It's like, no. How efficient is it? I have no idea. I actually should hook up a kilowatt to it. I'm assuming you're not going to want to leave this on. It also, I was breaking in a set of speakers. It doesn't even get really warm. I think these are for 75 watts... These are such an oversized monster heatsink. Like, they don't need to be there, but what is he going to do? Make it smaller or change it, make it only half? Fuck it. Giant heatsinks. Which means it's crazy efficient. I was breaking in speakers with this amp. Because I'm like, fuck it. It's on already. Just let it run. Just let it yell speakers at each other. That isn't normal. I should be like, this didn't feel like a big, hot, murderous old Class A that you got to have a fan running on it. It's running efficient. It's Class AB, but it's probably the most efficient Class AB as far as heat goes that I've ever used. Like the Orchard Audios don't even have heat sinks. All right, that's a Class D. That's some wild fucking future shit. That's why I love them so much. This is all old school. However, enough new tech in it, new caps and the heatsink design that it just doesn't care. It could just... And you know what? Here's the fucked up part. I'm not 100% sure which amplifier I prefer on my Mons, because I have run like tube pre's into the Orchard, because that immediately gives you the full flavor of the tube pre into the Orchard. But this coming out of the DX9, which is pretty clean on its own, this is just adding something to it. Just this like high-end sound. Like that kind of sound that I'm sure people are spending $45,000 on monoblocks. Like $45,000 each on monoblocks to get. And they're claiming, they're 625 watts. Or, alternatively, they're 13 watts. Because asshole audiophiles will pay any amount of money for any amount of wattage as long as you're charging them for it. This feels like it's doing a better job than most amplifiers I've heard at shows. And if you have a speaker that can use it, which I'm not going to say, look, the Mon's my favorite speaker of all fucking time. Just straight up, like throw that out, throw it all out. Give me those. With those speakers, though, I know they're so clean that it's okay if you mess up the signal source a little bit. And that sounded fucked up because I pointed at the Galion. But compared to the Orchard, this thing is full of flavor. This is one of the most flavorful heavy-duty power amps. Like, if you put an A-B comparison test between an Emotiva and this would kill it every fucking time. Because it has a sound. You hit play, and there's just this, like, it sounds like a guitar amp. I haven't played guitar. I'm very bad with instruments, but there's that, like, tube adjustment that you put on the guitar, so when you strum it, it's got that resonance and that warmth. And I feel like the man who's building these, since he builds tube amps, I feel like he knows his sound signature. And I don't know how the fuck he's squeezing it into a box with this much stuff shipped to your house for $1,500. Well, plus shipping. So I guess it's not shipped to your house for $1,500. It'll be shipped to your house for, like, I don't know. If he charges $100 to ship it, it's probably worth it. Because this thing is 42 pounds closed. Like, in the box. Mercy, mercy me. We are still 17.5 dB down from what is maximum on that. So we're not even close to using all the power this thing's got. It's missing one or two things that I would like to see, but I'm not going to complain because it's so cheap. A 12-volt trigger would be nice. It does not have a 12-volt trigger. But 12-volt triggers are usually put in place when your amplifier, which actually there's 12-volt triggers on this. Yeah, a 12-volt trigger is usually in place when you are shutting off like a home theater or your preamp, and your other amplifiers are sitting there drawing 85 watts and they're all hot and bothered. This doesn't get hot or bothered. So really, you never need to turn it off physically unless you're like moving out of the house for the summer. It'll just sit there. I just left it on my floor here in my basement and like went to Chicago. Because it's like, it just isn't. It just literally fucking isn't. It doesn't care that it's on. It doesn't draw enough power to make heat if it's not producing sound. And I have not even gotten it to the point where if I pushed it, like I'd have to push it on my most inefficient speakers. Probably these boys here. These are pretty fucking crazy inefficient. Or RB42s. Those would also count as super inefficient. I'd probably have to push them on that for 4 hours before I could even detect warmth in this. That's the level of I don't feel anything. Yeah, this is, my wedding song. What the hell is this? This is unknown artist, great. Various artists, great. A guitar collection, Chesky, unknown title, great. Romero Lumbambo and Raphael Rabello. So there's a Lumbambo and Rafaela Rambello, and this is Melancia. That was way too long to explain what this song is. Anyway, go get Various, the guitar collection from Chesky. Skipping ahead. Yes. You know what I'm interested in? I'll tell this story because you probably didn't watch it because no one really watched my trip out to California. I got gifted to me for getting someone into high-end audio. They handed me a set of Stax L300 Limiteds. They handed me Stax L300 Limiteds, brand new in box. He'd never even checked to see if they were in the box. And I brought them here, and I'm like, well, what the fuck do I do? So I hooked them up to the IESL from IFI, and I was powering it with one thing, powering it with another thing. I think when I'm done with this here, I'm going to bring this over there. I'm going to plug the speaker taps out of it into the IESL, and I'm going to use this to power my L300 Limiteds. Because the amount of warmth that this just gently adds to the signal source and the insane amounts of power it has, probably going to work well for that. Also, I'll see if it runs tungsten. Hey, can you run tungsten? I just got to know. I got to know, right? You and I got to know. We'll find out about that on Twitter when I hook it up. But Galion TS-A75, a wholly underpriced amp. That is absolutely probably lying to you about its power capabilities. It's like cars in the 70s that weren't allowed to have more than like 180 horsepower. Or was that the 60s? Yeah, they had to lie. Car manufacturers in America had to lie. Because, like, I don't know if it was the EPA or someone was like, you can't make cars that are that powerful. So, like, oh, yeah, okay, sure. There, we wrote a number down. That's under that one that you said. Meanwhile, everything had 400 fucking horsepower. That's this. All right. Yeah, no, this is an audiophile fucking... The same problem I'd have with this is a problem that I have with the Orchard, where they don't look expensive enough. If you dress this up and made it like like high, like burl wood, like you wrapped it in burl wood and you engraved logos through the side, and you said this is $8,000, I'd believe it. If I didn't see the inside, I didn't know the backstory, it just looked $8,000, listening to speakers that I know full and well, I'd have nothing to argue about to you. Like, yeah, this sounds like you could claim as much power as you want and as much as you want to charge. And holy fuck, is it actually a 75 watt per channel thing? Is it actually only $1,500? That's dumb. This is dumb. I'm going to go back to being dumb with it, though, but without you watching so I don't get a copyright strike. Not that song again. That song. God, there's such a... Fuck. It's like a barrel of sound just falling out of this. Anyway, link to this in the description. Thank you for them at Galion for sending this out. It is Canadian, and it is non-apologetic. In fact, that's probably why it says, I'm only 75 watts per channel. It's fine. Meanwhile, even if it's driving 100 to these, it's like, holy crap, is this only 100? This is nutty. I think it sounds better up on the table, too. The floor, I was not pleased with the floor. I'm going to put this all together. Thank you for sending this out. If you want to support this channel, by the way, if you like it and you want to see it continue, think about supporting it. You like this lame rant at the end? Patreon and Subscribestar. You get to see these reviews early, participate in yard sales, get to lossless sound demos, which this will probably be powering some speakers and sound demos. Although I should consistently use the Orchard because it is dead nuts neutral. But... that, plus a $5 Q&A where I answer the questions that you have on a video. And the video response is free for all to go look at it. However, if you want to ask the questions, you need to be a patron. Then, if you want to spend $10 a month, which a whole $10, that's 150 months. This is 150 months of patronage, which is quite a lot. If you want to do that, which is over 10 years, you can join the private behind-the-scenes Telegram chat where they know all about this amplifier for months because I tell them everything that's happening all the time. They also get to ask me questions all the time. You don't have to wait for a response video. And if you're in that chat for $10 a month, you're in a private swap meet where you can buy, sell, and trade gear, where you will not find a Galion TS-A75 because who the fuck would sell this? It's already at a stolen, white van price. Just keep it. In fact, if I did one of those white van scams, I would just get a bunch of these, tell people they're $8,000 amps, and then sell them for $1,600, make $100. People go home, open it up, they go, the fuck? And then this comes out of it. And then we... First I was afraid.
I was petrified.
Yeah, that's Musica Nuda. Favorite tunes, I Will Survive. Yeah, I'm done. This is dumb. You're dumb for not buying it. You could buy like 4 of these and have the most insane home theater stack ever. It would just be like, what the fuck is this? I haven't seen an amplifier this class, this size, this weight, with this price and performance maybe ever on this channel. Like, this is a unheard of amounts of go for very little. So you could have for $6,000, you could have 4 of these, slide it into a fucking rack, which will scream for mercy, and then plug your receiver into it and just be like, you know what? All the power. And it's already got RCA inputs. Yeah, I'm done. Thank you. Wallpaper in the Wallpaper Horde. Thank you for everyone who supports this channel. I'm going to screw this amplifier back together with this manual Craftsman screwdriver like a real professional. probably with the power off. And see you all in the next one. And keep an eye out for that Orchard Audio collab, because that will also push speakers as a side gig.